cash stack. High yields on stable coins, yeah, that's where my bag at. All I really need is Wi-Fi, get money on DeFi, mega cash on MetaMask. You better run when the runners run, show you how to get your money up. Dollar inflated like bubble gum, markets are jumping like double dutch. Buying up gold till I get a ton, crypto, yeah, I got some. You better run when the runners run, you better run when the runners run.
All right, welcome in everyone. You are running with the runners. It is Tuesday, April 18th, 2023. I am Michael Tharp, EDU. It starts with you. We have an awesome show tonight, guys. We're going to talk about the main thing that keeps people struggling, keeps them in the rat race, and it simply comes down to financial education. People do not know what money is. So tonight we're going to show you guys what that is and the steps you can take to get out of the rat race. And we have our brother from down under, Cole Linnell, here. So we're going to bring him on in just a minute. As always, I got my brother, Ricardo Hamilton, a.k.a. Mims. Make it make sense. What's going down, man? And I know lots of news going on, but we're just going to try to focus and gain some knowledge for the people tonight.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be a great show like always. I mean, we always bring the value. We always, make it make sense and show people the way, especially in these times. So, man, I'm excited. Anytime we can break down money, which affects everybody, okay, it's gonna be a great show. So, yeah, everything's good.
And I guess, we'll start with this, Ricardo, is we talk about this all the time, right? Money is currency. Currency is energy. And the number one thing you can do to change your life, to get more money, to get more currency, is to change your network. I think Robert Kiyosaki says, poor people work for money, smart people create networks. And, we're so fortunate in this, space to be able to connect with people all around the world who are running on a higher frequency, right? Who are dreaming bigger, who are trying to lead, their group out of the rat race and into freedom. And, we've had been fortunate enough to connect with Cole Linnell down in Australia. He started out as a coach, when it comes to personal development, health and wellness. And then he's also, put his team and set them up to earn wealth and understand what money is. So without any further ado, we're going to bring on Cole Linnell from down under and see what's going on. My man, how's it going?
What's up, brother?
Oh, it's good. It's good, Mike. It's good to see you guys again. I think this is the third time show.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Hey,
It's just
we're gonna just keep going, baby.
To be blessed, to be connected. You guys, I remember how many years it's been now. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited.
And I think you're
what we're working with, and the impact we're in Australia.
Your net. Oh yeah, I think you're good now. Your network was a little low there. I think it was just a little glitch. The Matrix is always attacking us.
Can you hear me all right?
So Cole, I want to ask you first. Yeah, we got you now, I think.
Yeah, just a delay, probably.
So now down in Australia, New Zealand area, what's going on with your guys's government, your freedoms? Are things getting better? Are there still things you're not able to do? Or, just kind of give, because again, what I love here is we don't have to filter everything through the news and what we hear from the powers that be. We can go straight to the source. So what's any new developments when it comes to, getting your freedoms back down under?
It's a long delay.
Yeah, I think there's been some.
I think they took away his internet. I think that's what happened, guys.
Happened over.
Yeah, we cannot hear you. I think the government stepped in and
hear me clearly or not?
No, it's going in and out.
It was fine before we went live, and I think going live required some extra.
All right, I think he's coming in on his cell phone. We'll see if this is better.
Looks better.
Can you hear us now, Cole?
Probably getting it set up.
Your video looks better if you can hear us. Or not. All right, we'll let Cole figure that out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and we'll play the first video tonight. I wanted to play. Yeah, now you're saying it's got 1 bar. So see if you can get that figured out. And Ricardo, I'm gonna go ahead and add the first video I wanted to watch tonight. I don't actually. Oh yeah, I know why that was. Okay, so we're gonna go to. Yeah, I think it was about right here. Okay, so again, guys, what is money? And we're going to watch a video from Mike Maloney, who's one of the people who taught me, I mean, for the last few decades here about what money is, right? And he's going to make a distinction between money and currency. And this is one of the biggest misunderstandings that people have today when it comes to money and wealth and how to escape the rat race.
Spreadsheet master, and then a writer, editor, proofreader, and so it was a crew of 4 people working on this. Gold is real money versus national fiat currencies. There's no nation on the earth that uses money today.
So think about that, guys. There is no nation on earth that uses money today. They use currency. So Mike Maloney's going to break that down in the next 3 minutes.
And people need to start differentiating between money, because money makes, currency takes.
We need to remember that, Ricardo. We need to use that as a tagline. Money takes, or I'm sorry, money makes, currency takes.
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to talk about real money, which makes wealth. Currency takes wealth. So your dollars, your pounds, your Australian dollars, those are currencies. They take from you. Real money makes. Money makes, currency takes.
Money is something that propels mankind forward. It's honest. It's fair. Currency is dishonest. It's fraud, and it's theft. And when you look at the way currency is created, when we used money, when we used gold, the amount of time and effort that it took to go out and prospect, find a claim, develop that into a mine the ore, refine the ore, melt it down, pour it into a bar, melt those bars and mint them into a coin, that amount of effort equaled the amount of effort that you had to work for in whatever you did to accumulate the right amount of coins of real money to be able to buy a house. And so this work was equal to the work that you had to put in, which is equal to the work that it took to cut down all of the trees, dig up all the dirt to make the copper plumbing and the cement and things, and build that house. It was a fair trade of something for something, you know.
And I just want to focus on this, Ricardo, is he's talking about commodities, right? Real world commodities or elements that people need to build things, right? Whether it's aluminum, gold, oil, natural gas, this is what people need in the real world. Not currency, not fiat currency, not dollars that are paper, but real physical commodities.
You know, when you're buying a house, you take a piece of collateral. You find a home that you want to buy. This is my collateral. I want to borrow $1 million. The bank looks at your your financial record and determines whether or not you're a good risk, that if you can pay this loan back. And when they say yes, they imagine $1 million worth of bank credit currency, which is reminders that it's not actual dollars in your account, at least according to the Bank of England. It's reminders that they owe you a certain number of IOUs. But national currencies steal part of your future lifetime. This is my big point, it's a tool for enslavement. just to have them around requires your future work hours to pay on the assets that were acquired to create these IOUs. There's in chapter 4, it does explain that the entire currency system comes down to, it's nothing but IOUs. And what is it that they owe us? They owe us part of our own future lifetimes. We have been monetized. This is the thing.
So Ricardo, can you speak to that, just about how essentially, the bankers, and when people put their money in a bank or they have loans, they've essentially made themselves slaves?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this all the time, and a lot of people I still hear they say, well, fractional reserve lending, they can still loan out, 90% of your money, and really it's 100% that they're loaning out right now. Your money is not held in the bank. It's loaned out,
Nope.
completely, right? And then of course we talk about it's losing value because of inflation. And then of course when you need to go borrow your own money at times, they're going to charge you a ridiculous interest rate versus what they're paying you. And you just have to understand something, that money is just a representation of your life force, and when you have been giving a watered down value of your true energy, your true self. Well, that's what currency is. They're giving you a watered down value of your real valuable life energy and efforts, and they're confiscating that energy from you. It's a transfer of wealth, but it's a transfer of energy that allows them to
Mm.
sustain their lifestyles while you are like a battery that's running out of energy, having to put out more to get the same. And so people have to understand how critical it is, and the root of all the problems and everything comes down to the monetary system. Comes down to the Federal Reserve, this debt-based fiat
Nailed
uh,
it.
banking system.
No, I couldn't agree 100%. That was great breakdown right there. All right, one more minute with Mike Maloney, and then we'll move on.
Thing that I started with my first book was differentiating between money and fiat national currencies, because the national currencies are not money, and people need to start differentiating these two things.
So if you guys get one thing out of our live stream tonight, and we need to change the language we're using, okay? The dollar is not money. It is a currency. All right, we're going to explain that even more. But this is, Mike Maloney's main point, that you have to understand if you want to get wealthy and you want to win and you want to escape the rat race.
Calling them by their proper names, money cannot store value because
Money, and actually, I'm sorry, he corrects himself.
Currency cannot store value.
Currency cannot store value. It will always lose value.
Money does store value. Yeah, something big is coming. I'm getting ready for it. And the thing is, I wish I could have come up with a different title other than Great Gold and Silver Rush of the 21st Century. But I believe this is going to be the biggest gold rush in history. The amount of currency that has been created, the amount of true wealth that exists, and then all of that suddenly trying to seek a safe haven during periods of turbulence, which we are going into right now. And gold and silver have been suppressed, and some of the people that suppress, there's been convictions of people that were accused of manipulating the price of gold. Now, these are more short-term manipulations, but long-term manipulations have existed as well. But in one chapter, to those people, I say that the manipulations have allowed me to accumulate gold at a lower price than it would have been if the free market was setting the price. And I say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoy your time in jail. If we didn't have the central banks, it would be an entirely different world today. The big buildings in all of the downtown areas would have different names on them. It wouldn't be bank names. The financial sector wouldn't be such a large percentage of the economy, and banking would be doing its fundamental job where it is an actual service of the economy, where it facilitates transactions and helps everybody to grow our prosperity. It would be honest banking if we had honest money instead of dishonest currency.
Well, that's huge there, Mims, is, that's what we need. We need honest money, not dishonest currency. And I love what he said there. And we've talked about this a lot of times about how the prices of gold and silver and dollars are rigged and manipulated.
Yeah.
Multiple banks have pled guilty to this. Of course, they're never held liable. Nobody goes to jail. The government just comes in and gives them a little slap on the wrist. They pay their little fine, even though they made 20 times more money than the fine. And again, guys, all we can do at this point is just say thank you. Thank you, JP Morgan. Thank you, Bank of America. Thank you, Goldman Sachs, for naked shorting and rigging the gold and silver market down so that we can continue to buy the physical assets every single month at a lower price. Now, what we're seeing right now, Ricardo, is massive premiums. We talked about this the other night. Silver Eagles now are selling for $50. The spot price of silver is 25-ish, but physical 1 ounce Silver Eagles are selling for almost $50. So Mims, make it make sense. And what do people know when it comes to what is money and how to escape the rat race?
Yeah, and I mean, those are some good critical points. There's a crisis, but there's an opportunity. And what Mike Maloney's saying is that if you really understand what is value and what is not value, and if you acquire the right things like gold and silver, the real money, the real value, you're going to be able to accumulate a lot of it because the banks and the governments have been rigging and manipulating it down. Where before, or if they haven't been, obviously the prices of gold and silver would have a real fair market value, which is much higher than where it is right now, especially considering the massive money printing that they've done since the pandemic, during banking crisis, and print money all over the seas. You know, everybody would be running away from the dollar inflation, but because it's a rigged and manipulated economy, they keep gold and silver prices suppressed down so it looks unattractive to you. So you don't realize the real value in it and it's increasing. But those who understand that there's coming a point in time where the rigging and manipulation will cease. Okay. And they're already doing it on an international scale with Basel III. Okay. Gold is real money. Okay. Accepted all around the world. The gold has zero risk associated to it, okay? Gold is what you have to have if you wanna have something of value in the physical realm, and so it's very important that people really understand the difference between, the dollar and gold or currency versus money.
And you know what? Is it Lynette Zhang makes this point all the time, is that gold and silver are the only assets with zero counterparty risk.
Right.
Right? Stocks, bonds, even crypto at some point, there's a third party risk. Gold and silver are the only zero counterparty risk that exists. And when I when I was watching Mike Maloney's thing, I always, every time I think about fractional reserve banking or anything like that, I just go back to Dumb and Dumber, right? Where Jim Carrey spends all this guy's money. And he's like, no, but I wrote IOUs on napkins. You're going to want to save this one. That's as good as money, sir. Those are IOUs.
Right.
This is essentially what our entire economy is built on.
Yeah.
And all these regulations and all these banksters, right? This is it, guys. It literally comes down to Dumb and Dumber writing IOUs on news, on news, on news, on news, on news, on news, on news,
Wow,
on
that's
news,
never happened
on
before.
news, on news, on news, on
Can you hear
news,
that?
on
Can you
news,
hear that,
on
Mike?
news, on news,
You're
on
like,
news, on
on
news,
news,
on
on
news,
news.
on news,
It's like
on
on
news,
this
on
repeating.
news, on news, on news, on news, on
Yo,
news, on news,
I'm getting
on
this
news,
weird ass
on news,
reverse
on
feedback.
news,
Yo.
on news, on news,
Is anybody
on
else
news,
hearing that
on news,
in the
on
audience
news,
out there?
on news, on news, on
Is
news, on
anybody
news,
getting this
on
weird
news,
feedback?
on news, on news, on news, on news, on news,
You're like
on news,
repeating
on
over and
news,
over.
on news,
On
on
news,
news,
on
on
news, on
news,
news.
on news, on news,
We have
on
some
news,
technical
on news,
difficulties, folks.
on news, on news, on news,
Yeah,
on
so it's
news,
not
on
just me.
news,
Yeah,
on
they're
news,
hearing
on news, on news,
something
on news, on news, on news, on news,
something on
on
your
news,
side,
on
Mike,
news,
when you were talking. Okay. All
on
right.
news, on
Nope.
news, on news,
It went
on
away when
news,
you
on
took it
news,
off.
on news, on
When you went
news,
off.
on news, on news, on news,
He's like,
on
I'm
news,
done with it.
on news,
I
on news,
do. I
on
do.
news, on news, on news, on news,
Well,
on news, on
put me
news,
on and,
on news,
so that
on
way we can
news,
at least
on
get that
news,
undoes
on
off of
news,
there. So
on
go
news,
back in the background, Mike.
on news, on news.
Oh, okay, good. Stay like that for a minute, Mike, until you figure out, okay, what's going on. everybody in the audience can hear that. But so I guess just to kind of while Mike's getting the audio and technical situation straight. The whole point, of us bringing this information is because we're literally on the precipice of something that the world has never seen before. We're literally in uncharted territory in the global economy right now. The whole financial system is changing, and I hope you see it when you see them talking about BRICS, and you realize all these countries that are turning down IMF loans. There are countries right now that are saying, no, we don't want to use the dollar. We don't want IMF loans. We actually are going to go over here with BRICS. We're actually going to align with China and Russia and South Africa and all these other countries, and they're creating their whole new financial conglomerate, right? And it's not something that happens overnight, but understand something, that you're living in the most significant time period in history, because every single day that goes by, these events that are seen and unseen, known and unknown, are literally charting a course that will set the standards, set the precedents, set the reality on which humanity will exist on for the next, millennium. Okay. And so it's important that people really understand just how important it is, because some people are, just think that, well, you know, they have a normalcy bias, as I say all the time, or a complacency bias, or, cognitive dissonance, that everything is just going to be fine. Nothing is going to change here dramatically in the United States. What's going on overseas is their problem. We're going to be fine here. But really, in reality, we're seeing the corruption starting from the top. Everything is getting exposed. Lines are being drawn in the sand. What is done in the dark is now coming to light from all levels: entertainment industry, politics. I mean, you name it. This society has never been more connected, more woke, more so much information, and this is why, they want to cut off these access points that we have, like TikTok or like Facebook or YouTube, Instagram, because they don't want us to be able, right, to realize, the lies that they've been telling us, to go counter to their narrative. And so it's important that, we do put this message out here, that people do wake up to what's going on, that we challenge, all of this, these lies and fraud that's going on. But Mike, I see you back, and
How am I sounding?
you're
Is
good.
it better?
Yeah, much better, much
Okay.
better. They said you had a remix going on there.
All right, we got Cole too. Let's see if we got everyone back. Cole,
How are we doing, guys?
Perfect.
you
That's
sound
better.
good. Video looks good.
Yeah.
The Matrix was trying to cut me off.
Bro, it never stops.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time. I just want to add to what Ricardo's saying as well. And I'll give you a bit of my take as to what's happening here in Australia and New Zealand. In a nutshell, really, there's been quite a few significant changes, especially with the economy, in terms of what's going on with people losing control of their position, in terms of their financial position. Things are getting more difficult. Inflation's just getting worse. And, people are really struggling. They're living week to week. They're living on a knife's edge. And I'll be honest with you, like, it's evident. You just look around. I mean, people need extra streams of income. They need to understand the importance of financial literacy. They have to start plugging into calls like this and start actually, I mean, the time of researching is pretty much gone now. We've been talking about gold and silver for what, three years, probably longer now, down under here in New Zealand, Australia, and finally people are starting to go, oh, okay, this is a good idea. It's a good idea to have income producing assets. As we know, and I'll build off this conversation as well, and I'll let you guys jump in as well. But at the end of the day, a lot of people understand how to earn money. There's lots of ways you can earn money, so it's not an excuse. We've got to stop using that as an excuse. Oh, I don't have the money. There's lots of different ways you can go out. You can earn money. You can have a job. You can be a real estate agent. There's lots of different things you can do to actually generate income. So that to me is not really an excuse. What we want to be focusing on is the other two things that we're not taught in school. And those other two things is, how do we store our wealth? How do we protect ourselves? Where's our self-insurance? How do we compound our wealth? so that we can leave a generational legacy. So, this is the things that are kind of going on in Australia, is these things aren't taught in the schooling system. And I just couldn't wait to get on this live stream to drop some bombs in here, because I'm really passionate about, my biggest vision really is to actually pass this information down to teenagers and kids, so that the information has been heard at a young age. And I know Mike will resonate with that, being a teacher, or a previous teacher. And it just excites me to have this information and being able to, share it out globally.
Perfect. No, I mean, I couldn't agree more, Cole. You're spot on there. Let's see. The next thing I want to do is, I actually, speaking of education, I'm going to show a quick 1-minute video, and this YouTube channel is what I used to use when I was a teacher, because I created my own curriculum. I didn't, teach what, wherever it was coming from, the government or whatever. So this is a 1-minute video on fractional reserve banking. So the first lesson tonight was money versus currency. The second lesson tonight is the fractional reserve banking system. And this is a 1-minute video that breaks it down perfectly.
Banks are allowed to create money through a system called fractional reserve banking. Whenever you deposit money, the bank is legally required to keep a certain percentage of it somewhere safe, but can lend everything else. Here's an example based on a 10% reserve requirement. John goes to his bank and deposits $1,000. John's bank keeps $100 and lends the remaining $900 to Mike. There is now $1,900 in the financial system. John's $1,000 deposit and Mike's $900 loan. Next, Mike uses the $900 to buy a laptop from Karen. Then Karen deposits her $900 at another bank. The bank keeps 10% and lends the remaining $810 to George. There is now $2,710 in the system. John's $1,000 deposit, Karen's $900 deposit, and George's $810 loan. This goes on and on until John's initial $1,000 is turned into approximately $10,000. Believe it or not, commercial banks actually create more money than central banks.
So, Ricardo, that blew my mind, that the commercial banks that people send their money to, right? You go to your job, it gets deposited into your bank account. And actually, this video is 7 years old, Ricardo, and as you know, they don't even have to keep 10% of it anymore. That was bad enough. Now they don't have to keep anything. And literally every time you put $1 into the bank, you are giving your master more and more power. You are diluting and decreasing your wealth. Every time you put $1 in the bank, you are feeding the enemy that is trying to destroy you. So, Mims, make it make sense of why people need to understand fractional reserve banking and how I think it's really the central source of all our problems we have.
Yeah, I mean, the banks are public enemy number one. It starts with the central banks, but definitely the major corrupt financial institutions that grow up around them. Like the video talked about, it's really the banks that are creating the most inflation. When we talk about M2 money supply, and then when it gets down to the banks and then them with the fractional reserve lending system, and then, in collusion with Wall Street, creating all these, dollar denominated financial instruments, and creating all these different financial packages that they can make money on and make all these fees and all these derivatives and things. These are, trash investments that, they'll get the credit agencies to rate AAA like they did in the housing market, where they were rating, all these mortgage-backed securities as AAA and they were trash. And they knew it, and no, nothing has changed. They never changed any laws since 2008. No bankers went to jail. Everything is the same. And in fact, it's worse now. And so they already know. This is the thing about it. They know the game is over. They know the jig is up. They know. And
Yep.
so they're going to squeeze out all that they can get, and they're going to leave you with the bag. They're going to leave you with that. It's like a hot potato. They're going to leave it on the American people. right? And but the bankers, they already have their private jets. They already have citizenships in other countries. They already have their bunkers. They have so much money and wealth.
Yep.
They don't care. And the politicians are in collusion with them all the way down. The whole system has been hijacked. You know, a whole coup has been done on the system, and the people who are going to feel the worst are the regular, average, you know, people that are just working, trying to survive and maintain a decent standard of living. But there's an opportunity if you do see that and you do acknowledge that, and if you do the right things with your money, because we can't control what the bankers are going to do, we can't control what the government's going to do, but what we can do is we can control our own economy. You know, we
Mhm.
like Cole said, making money ain't hard. We can do anything making money. A lot of people make money. We all making money, but the problem is, what are you doing with the money? How are you preserving the money? How are you using money to grow? How are you making sure that that wealth can transition over into the next paradigm, financial paradigm that we're going to find ourselves in, which is backed by commodities and in technology, digital assets, you know? And so that's the real message here. We know it's bad and we know it's going to get worse. The question is, what are you going to do about it to make sure that you and yours are going to be able to sustain
Mm.
and live a greater quality of lifestyle after this shift than before?
Nailed it.
Cole, anything you want to add when it just comes to fractional reserve banking? And again, guys, we are at war. Okay, this is the currency wars. We've been talking about this forever. And when you put your dollar in the bank, you are literally giving your enemy more power. So, Cole, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, totally. I think what Ricardo said was total fire. But we'll add to that as well. You know, when it comes to fractional reserve banking, a lot of people don't actually understand what fiat currency actually is. And, you know, the backbone of how long it's been around. I mean, it's well past its due by date. Everybody knows that. And when we break it down, I mean, for every dollar that's put in the bank, 10 is lent out. And what that actually means is that the bank is actually, it's a business. They're capitalizing on you in that way as well. They're capitalizing on the $10 that's lent out. They're capitalizing on you by actually charging you fees for keeping your money in the bank. Now, tell me, does that make sense or am I crazy?
No,
Like-
can't even get to the fees.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, and then you go to an ATM, you want to pull cash out, they're going to charge you another fee.
Mhm.
So who has the control here? You need to ask yourself, who has the control, right? Because if you don't have the control, they have the control. And like Ricardo is saying, is like, we want to work with our controllables. You know, we want to step into our personal power. We want to step into our personal wealth, okay, and make sure that we're leaving a legacy for our family. Because when it comes to banking, right, a bank is not designed for you to create success. A bank is not designed for you to be wealthy, right? It's just all we know. It's ingrained in us. And as I said earlier, as a kid, you know, I remember, you know, when I was a kid and my parents said, look, we're going to get you a bank account. We're going to start, you know, putting some money in there for you, for your future. Well, to me, that was really, it was a good concept, but it was worthless when I understood that every day that passes and every dollar that's printed, right, the dollar is losing its purchasing power, right? And when we look at the whole system, the fiat currency system, you know, to me it makes sense. For a lot of people it doesn't, right? So I'll try to break it down to you and keep it as simple as possible. So when we look at the fiat currency system, right, and we break it down, you know, the US dollar is the reserve currency of the world right now, right? People are losing faith and belief in the dollar, right, for various different geopolitical reasons and lots of stuff going on in the world. I won't go into that, but at the end of the day, the US dollar is not backed by anything. It's backed by people's belief systems and government force, right? So I want to ask you this question. If you're on this live stream, ask yourself this, like, it doesn't matter if you're holding Australian dollars, New Zealand dollars, the Japanese yen, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're holding. Everything is basically paired against the US dollar, right? It trades against the US dollar. But the US dollar is not backed by anything. So to me, when I started to understand this, I understood we need to have physical, tangible assets, right? And we need to have assets that generate income. Because if we don't have that and we're holding on to our dollars are losing value every day. That blows my mind, right? I have people come to me, Mike, that people come to me and say, Cole, I've got $100,000 sitting in the bank. And I'm like, because these people aren't educated. They don't know what we know. So that's the whole idea. So, like Mike says, make sure you hashtag below and push this out, because we've been censored everywhere with this sort of stuff because they don't want us to know. I put a post out on gold and silver, right? It doesn't get any traction because they're not letting people see what real money is. That's the facts.
No, 100%, 100%, man.
All
right, so Ricardo, go. Anything you want to add to that? I'm going to pull up our next clip.
Yeah, no, go ahead and pull up the next clip. No, I was gonna say that was well put, Cole. That was powerful. I mean, it's people got to hear it, from people around the world and in different ways, that sometimes to make it make sense. And it's true. Whether you're in the east, the west, fiat currency is fiat currency. They all go to zero, and the whole world has acknowledged gold and silver as money. Since the times of Egypt, and that always held value. During wars, pandemics, financial crisis, it's always gold and silver. And that's something that people really need to know and understand, because that's going to help them sustain and grow their financial security.
And I want to give a shout out. We're not going to get into this deep tonight, guys, but David Walker's 100% correct. Okay. We will resist CBDC at any cost.
Yeah.
I would argue that any person, any politician that is pushing a CBDC is a traitor to human liberties and freedoms. So I don't care what your political parties are. You better be ready to fight against CBDCs for whatever it takes. This is the currency war, the fight for our freedoms and our liberties and our right to use our currency and our value and our money for what we want without any censorship. And we've covered this before. The Fed now is dangerous. They're claiming this is going to somehow happen in July. I don't know. But we're going to get into Gary Gensler right now, which I know, Mims, you're excited for.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
All right. So if you guys don't know, Gary Gensler, who I just think is one of the biggest snakes in Washington, D.C., he has a long history of just absolute corruption and stupidity. He was questioned today in some congressional hearings, and we're going to kind of break down one of them and just see how inept the United States government is when it comes to anything, really. What regulation? They will not give clear regulation on cryptocurrency. They can't define anything, but yet then they'll go after people and sue them and say they broke the law when they won't even say what the law is. Again, guys, this is all a fugazi. It's basically just to keep us enslaved in the rat race and poor and uneducated. So we're going to watch this right now and break it down.
Emmer is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Chair Gensler, I have a lot of questions in a limited amount of time. So if you could keep your answers to either a yes or a no, that will allow us to get through as many as possible, sir. From your perspective, is it more difficult now for the digital asset industry to access financial products and services in the United States than it was, say, 2 years ago?
Sir, I'm not running one of those businesses. If they came into compliance,
You're reclaiming my time. The answer, sir, is yes. Do you think you and the SEC have had a role to play in that?
I think we have a role to protect the American investor and the capital markets. And
Reclaiming my time, sir. You have played an obvious role in that. During your tenure at the SEC, how many rules has the SEC finalized that actually accommodate the existing regulatory framework and are specifically to the digital asset industry so the crypto market can come into compliance?
It's our rule books that are on the books for years. So we have not finalized any new rule specifically with regard to crypto. We've proposed some things in best execution. We've also...
Sir, reclaiming my time. The answer is zero.
All right. So, Mims, before we get any more, I mean, this is just wild here, right? Can you maybe make this make sense and just set up how stupid this guy looks right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's all, smoke and mirrors. It's really, this is the biggest form of entertainment that you can get to. But, obviously it's like you can see he doesn't know what he's talking about. And obviously it's a joke because the answers to the questions, he knows them, and you can see he's sitting there like acting all stupid. Right. It's like somebody said Sleepy Joe. But the thing is that it's funny because in face of it's like in the Wizard of Oz, it got to a point where Dorothy and the whole group actually walked behind the stage and saw the little short man, pulling strings and acting like he was all big and mighty and making thunder clouds, and they're looking at him, and he sees they looking at him, and he goes back to pulling the things as if they don't see him. You know what I mean? And they're looking like, what in the world? So it's the same thing right now. We're looking at this man, and he trying to piss on our back and tell us it's raining, and we're looking like, dude, are you serious right now?
He's a clown.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's so they
Bro,
really take
it's an absolute clown show.
Yeah.
That's where we are now. It's an absolute clown show. Like, even people that I know that have been lifelong Democrats are just like, I don't know, Mike. I don't know what these people are doing. It's a clown show. That's all we can say at this point.
Yeah, facts.
All right, let's. I love this guy though. Who is this, Mr. Emmer? I've never heard of this guy, but at least he's holding his feet to the fire here and pointing
some
out
great
his
testimony
stupidity.
in this. Yeah.
And how many enforcement actions has the SEC levied against digital asset companies during your tenure, sir?
I think it's probably 40 or 50.
The answer, sir, is about 55. My understanding is that the biggest crypto failure in history is probably FTX at $9 billion. Were you the chairman of the SEC when FTX collapsed?
Yes.
And how many times did you meet with FTX prior to their collapse?
I think my public record shows 2.
You met it with FTX at least twice. And arguably, the second biggest crypto failure in history was Terra Luna. Who was the chairman of the SEC when Terra Luna collapsed, sir?
We had brought...
You were, sir, reclaiming my time. You were. There are 5 members on the commission. Do you believe your speeches and interviews are to serve as the official position of the SEC?
I can only speak for myself when I'm speaking.
Again, sir, in a statement on the SEC website, you are quoted saying, the Kraken staking as a service enforcement action should make clear to the marketplace that staking as a service providers must register. But again, you haven't provided any rules for how that can be done. I must remind you, your public statements are not regulations. It's not responsible to expect the American people to assume your statements are a substitute for rules. Do you agree with this statement regarding the digital asset industry?
All right, before we go any further, I want to break that down. So basically, what he's pointing out here is you have passed no laws or given no clarity or guidance to anyone in the crypto space, but you've gone after 54 people, 54 entities in the crypto space, yet the 2 biggest collapses in the crypto space happened under your watch, and you did absolutely nothing about it. Any comments you guys want to make about just this ineptitude and stupidity?
Yeah, no,
I mean, totally. I'll jump in on that for sure. Like, I think this is where it's important to be. It just makes me laugh that video, but like, it's important to be decentralized. It's important to have ownership of your assets. And what I've found over time is, and learning and making a lot of mistakes in crypto as well myself. Since I've been in crypto since late 2015, and made a lot of mistakes. But what I've come to understand is you need to, like Binance, for example, right? And I'm not taking a shot at Binance. I'm not taking a shot at CoinSpot or anything, or Coinbase, but all of these are all centralized. They're all centralized, meaning they own your assets, right? Meaning if they shut down, they go into liquidation, anything happens, they could take your assets. And, bottom line is, like, you need to protect yourself, which means your keys, your wallet, all of that sort of stuff. Everybody knows the old story of, your keys, your coins. At the end of the day, you need to...
Hold on, Cole. I'm going to stop you there. Everyone does not know that. You have to remember...
that's probably true, actually.
Yeah,
that's probably true.
We are so far ahead of where the masses are. And so just, maybe I know we're used to talking to people who are in our circles,
Not your keys, not your
but
crypto.
maybe break that down. What do you mean by not your keys, not your crypto?
Well, there's a big difference between logging into a centralized exchange or a centralized wallet, where you're keeping your assets, to somewhere where you have to hold on to a private key phrase, meaning like it's a 12-letter key phrase that you keep in a safe place. I've got mine down in 3 different places, because I don't want to be that guy that loses his crypto. So, if something crazy happens in the market, I don't want to lose my crypto. But, basically what you're doing is protecting yourself. So you're actually taking self-ownership, meaning you're actually taking ownership of your assets. And even better, if you can take them actually off the wallet, say Trust Wallet or MetaMask. If you guys haven't heard of those, go and do your own research. Mike and Ricardo have some amazing videos on MetaMask and how to use it, how it functions in the app. So if you don't understand this sort of stuff, you need to understand the difference between decentralized and centralized, because centralized cryptocurrency is basically just a bank. It's just a bank. Like, it's like you look at it like you keep your money in your bank. We already told you that's not the best idea. Again, we're not financial advisors, but I mean, it's quite simple. That, it's not a smart idea. It's not the smartest idea. It's not what the wealthy do. The wealthy put their money to work for them. Okay, but what they do is they take themselves out of the position of having third-party counter risk. And third-party counter risk is if you're leaving your assets on a centralized exchange. That's third-party counter risk. I want Ricardo to add to that as well. I know he's got something. He's always got something.
No, brother, you broke it down. Like you said, decentralized, eliminate as many risks and variables to you being able to secure and grow your wealth. And one of those things that you're saying is you want to eliminate the variable of you having your assets stored in a centralized place where you don't have control over those assets. And that's why we do talk about not your keys, not your crypto, having a decentralized non-custodial wallet. We do talk about obviously taking your cryptocurrency off site, into a treasure, into cold storage. So that is a key point, Cole, that security is huge. Security of your assets are probably just as important as you accumulating the assets. Okay, because if you don't know how to protect your assets, what was the point of accumulating them? Because this space out here, the scammers, they're getting so good at creating fake websites. They're getting so good at, getting you to connect your wallet or giving up some information. So it's very important that you learn and know, hey, you never give up your seed phrases. Never connect your wallet and give, a site permission to and access to your wallet. And, the best way I put it is like, look, you ain't been in crypto long enough if you ain't lost no money. Okay. One way or another.
Yep.
That's it. That's a good
Absolutely perfect.
Facts. And just
So-
on that too,
Yeah,
just
go
on
ahead,
that too, just before you jump back in, Mike. When it comes to also on ramps and off ramps, this is the big conversation I've been having lately. Cole, how do I purchase crypto without, giving up my KYC? These sort of topics, I'm having a lot of conversations with people about these topics. How do you swap if you're working inside a decentralized wallet? How do I swap my Bitcoin, which is not supported, well, it's supported in, say, like Trust Wallet, but how do I trade that for BNB? Right. So we use things like, and I know Mike and that endorses as well, but we use things like ChangeNow.io, right? Which is amazing because you can send your crypto up, but it acts as a third party, right? You don't have to send it into a centralized exchange. All you're doing is sending them BTC and they're sending you BNB back to your wallet. So you can operate, you want to operate at least, like 85 to 90% decentralized to protect yourself, right? And, well, that's really all I wanted to add on that. I just wanted to talk about ChangeNow.io. I've had a lot of conversations in the last probably month on how do I swap in and out of Trust Wallet, how do I swap in and out of MetaMask, without actually going onto a centralized exchange.
No, 100%. I'm gonna keep this really simple for you guys. Okay. Again, here's the third lesson. Okay. We talked about currency versus money. We talked about fractional reserve banking, and every time you put dollars into the bank, you are giving energy to the enemy. And now, guys, here's our lesson tonight about money: is you have to be your own bank. So I'm going to show you the two best ways I know to be your own bank. Visuals right here. Okay, this is real physical silver in my own possession. This is a cold storage hardware wallet. Okay, where my crypto is in my own possession, my keys, my crypto. Okay, it's not on Coinbase. If you have Bitcoin on Coinbase, it's not yours. If you have Ethereum on Binance, it's not yours. Okay, it's just like you buying a gold and silver ETF or a paper stock. It's not real. That's why premiums for silver are almost 2 times what they tell you the fake price of silver is. If everyone took their crypto off exchanges, what do you think would happen to the price of crypto? It would go up. But when you give your crypto to these centralized exchanges like Coinbase or Gemini or Binance, they're just using your money to do what the banks do, or God knows what FTX did. They were just basically running huge Ponzi schemes, funneling money to politicians and Ukraine. So again, guys, you have to get knowledgeable and gain education about money and pull your wealth out of the system and become your own bank. That's the only way we're going to win, period.
I agree. And then the third thing is to start a home-based business, and create more tax advantages. Like Mike said, the first two is that to understand what sort of system you're in, and then, understand how to protect yourself. And then the third thing is to create a home-based business to leverage and do what the wealthy do and expose those loopholes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other, we'll cover that next time you come back, Cole.
That's another one.
All right, let's beat up on Gary a little bit more. This is fun.
Industry. The SEC needs additional congressional authorities to prevent transactions, products, and platforms from falling between the regulatory cracks.
I think that it's a largely non-compliant field. And
Sir, again, I asked you to comply with my questions, and I'm asking you if you agree with that quote. And I'm going to tell you, I'm quoting you from an August 3rd, 2021 article where you, and I believe you told Congressman Hill earlier that you need congressional authority to regulate stablecoins, and stablecoins happen to be a significant percentage of the crypto market. So the question is, when were you telling the truth? To Mr. Hill or to me? You've got to start answering these questions in a more transparent manner, sir. Does it concern you, by the way, that your approach to the digital asset industry is actually driving this industry out of the United States?
We're trying to drive it to compliance, and if they're not complying with the laws, then they should be offering their products.
Reclaiming my time. Madam Chair?
Bro, you are putting regulations out. You aren't saying anything. So how can you say you want them to follow regulations? We don't tell them what the regulations are. Clown world.
Right.
Clown world.
It's insulting. It's insulting our intelligence, and that's what they don't care. That's what they want to do. It's wild. It's crazy. Crazy.
It's just playing on the dumb, right?
Yeah.
It's playing on the dumb. It's people over, like in the last, since I was at school, the schooling system programs you to think a certain way, to be a certain way. And, it's just channeling. It's just channeling you into being, corrupted. It's channeling you to being, or having the wool pulled over your eyes. As to actually really what's going on. And then, when we look at this guy, he's speaking the truth. I don't actually know who that guy is, by the way, but I know the guy from the SDC.
Nico's right. He's a Goldman Sachs water boy. Again, it's just a
revolving door. Yeah.
And what was I gonna say? He's definitely delusional. You're right there, David.
They asked him another question. Go ahead.
Why, guys, why are there 87,000 pages of IRS tax code? So you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
the whole point.
Yeah, I agree. That's why people don't want to. That's why people, for instance, like the banking system, right? People never read the terms and conditions. You know, when they get out a mortgage, they never read the terms and conditions. You know, they never read that fine print, and the fine print is the most important thing.
Yeah.
You know, like it's stupid. Like if you get in the car, like you got to know where you're going, right? You don't get in the car with no direction. It's like it's the same thing. It's like you got to read the paperwork, but people are lazy, right? There's like 30 pages or something of terms and conditions, and they're like, oh, it doesn't really matter. Well, of course it matters.
We're going to be breaking that down here in a few weeks, Cole, about what we sign away with our rights. But let's get back to this. We're going along here.
I would like to enter into the record this Wall Street Journal article from April 14th, 2023, detailing China's ploy to open its banking system to crypto firms in an effort to seize an opportunity created by our hostile regulatory environment, which, Mr. Chair, you're a big part of.
Without objection.
Chair Gensler, FTX was domiciled abroad and so is Binance, yet American consumers still had access to both. You can't really think that pushing this industry abroad is going to protect American consumers when it hasn't several times in the past on your watch. You say the crypto market is rife with non-compliance. However, existing SEC rules make no sense for blockchain-based companies, and following them would actually kill these businesses. Your regulatory style lacks flexibility and nuance, and as a result, you've been an incompetent cop on the beat, doing nothing to protect everyday Americans and pushing American firms into the hands of the CCP. Your intention to work against SEC mission and put American investors in harm's way has been made very apparent, sir. It's been a year and a half since you've appeared before this committee. You need to answer to Congress about the issues that you've had with the SEC staff union, the work environment you've cultivated at the SEC that's led to hemorrhaging of senior staff, the intellectual inconsistency of your regulatory treatment towards Bitcoin spot ETFs, and your politicization of capital formation opportunities through your treatment of certain SPACs. And that's just to name a few. Thank you.
Yes.
Shout out.
Yeah.
I mean, that was fire right there, man.
You know, and there's another congressman asked them, you know, is XRP a security? And he literally pauses for a good 30 seconds. We're in litigation now, trying to, you know, pretty much saying that, you know, they don't have an answer for it, but literally, you know, they have been looking out for their own special interest. And the problem is that at the same time, they're hurting and killing and damaging, you know, millions of people all over the world because of their inability to act and bring clarity and allow for a free market to take place. You know, all these things that have went down, they talk about FTX and Luna. This was all under their watch. Well, all this stuff could have been preventable, you know, but they knew it was going on, and they've lined their pockets, you know. But you know, it's time. They've already. He talks about introducing a bill. They're going to get rid of him. You know, I hope that bill passes. They're going to get rid of the chairman and have them have to address the board, and the board make decisions. But it's got to be some changes. Got to be some changes.
So here's my final thoughts, and then we'll let Cole go, guys. Who decides what money is? We do. Every time you take your value and put it somewhere, you are deciding the future. Okay. We create our reality. So if you are staying inside the system, if you are trading your time for money at a job, and then you're putting those dollars into a bank, and then you're sending them to Wall Street in a 401k, you are giving your power, value, time, and energy right into the belly of the beast. You are feeding the enemy that is trying to destroy you. It's time to wake up, pull your money, pull your value, pull your wealth outside of the system. That's the only way we're going to win. That's the only way we're going to keep our liberties and freedoms. You have to decentralize. You have to learn and get disciplined about getting gold and silver automatically every month. You have to learn how to move on the blockchain because they are going to stop you. We've talked about Operation Choke Point 2.0. You saw what happened to the Canadian truckers. They will shut down your social media. They will shut down your bank account. They will shut down every rail to move currency or information unless we decentralize everything and take back our power from the mega corporations and, you know, the powers that be all around the world. Guys, this is it. This is what humanity has been preparing for the last 80 years. We have the technology. We have the connections. It's just time to use it and get serious about this. Stop playing in their game. Stop playing their game, period. Cole.
Look, I just think that I honestly, I mean, how do I add to that? That was fire. But like for me, like how I look at it is people have just, it's a shock to their nervous system because, you know, they're in denial. You know, they're in denial. They're like, this is happening. This is actually happening, which we've been saying it's going to happen, right? This is going to happen, right? I know we don't have a crystal ball, but we've been like projecting these things. We've been putting it out there out with the social media platforms as well as we can. But, you know, like obviously the message is starting to be heard now. And like Ricardo says, you know, I'd rather be 3 years too early than 1 day too late. And, you know, that's the facts. Like we've been preparing for this, you know, for so long. And if you haven't, then you've just been missing the message. Like we're not here to tell you what to do, but we're here to empower you to make better, sophisticated decisions. Yep. Because those decisions are what will determine the outcome of your life, your reality, and the reality of your children. Yep. That's facts.
Fire.
Bro, that's fun.
Yeah. Well put.
Mims, last words for tonight.
Yeah, I mean, man, awesome show, and Cole, awesome job, man. You did your job, which was come here and drop some jewels, drop some gems, bring some real value, and I know that people got that. And you know, this is something that, you know, is a part of our heart, our mission. You know what I mean? This is not something that we just do, like you said, because it's something to do. We understand what's going on. We know, you know, where the real value is. We understand, you know, the banking and monetary system. Somebody put in the comments earlier where they were talking to an international lawyer or some, you know, financial planner. And, you know, these people, they have that normalcy bias. They have that complacency bias. They have the cognitive dissonance. If it's not, you know, the mainstream narrative, right, they don't know nothing about it. No matter, though, you can see what's happening with gold and silver. You know, you can see what other countries around the world are doing. You can see the price of eggs, you know, going up or whatever it is at that moment. You can see the stock market and people's 401ks are down. You can see the uncertainty about, you know, the banks and small banks and big banks. And, you know, there's just a lot of uncertainty and people just think everything's going to be sweet. While there's other people who are waking up, you know, so a lot of those people are designed to keep you asleep, to keep you, you know, going along with the mainstream narrative. And then there's some people who, for some reason, are waking up, whether it's something in the stars and the skies they want you to look at, or whether it's your financial statement, or, you know, just whether it's you just, you know, you see that you're doing the same thing over and over and you're not getting ahead. You realize that, man, at this rate, my next 5 years is going to look like my last 5 years, if not worse. So you got to do something different. You know, you got to do something different. And don't let them fudge you out the market. I'm telling you, don't let them fudge you out the market.
Oh, they're going to.
Yeah, because they're gonna try. They're gonna try.
Oh, yeah.
And like somebody else put in the comments that I saw, yeah, I'm bullish on XRP. I think XRP is gonna win this lawsuit. Gensler he doesn't know what he's talking about. They don't know what they're doing. You know, at some point, this has to get settled. And either way, it's gonna be good. That's how I see it. Either way, it's gonna be good. Short term, you know, long term, whatever it is, it's going to allow the market to adjust for itself, as opposed to having the rigging and manipulation that's going on. They're trying to rig and manipulate the blockchain and crypto space like they rigged and manipulated the old financial system, the present financial system, and they don't have the ability to do that. They're going to lose that, and they're losing it right now.
I mean, guys, I'm telling you that we are at war. We are in a thought war, okay, an information war. All right. And if you guys haven't seen Elon Musk's interview with Tucker Carlson, you need to go and watch it. All right. It's absolute fire what he's doing, what Twitter is transforming into.
Yeah.
The level of just all I can say is demonic. That we've faced over the last 2 or 3 years. And again, if you've ever listened to stuff we've done with Cole, what Australia, New Zealand went through is just horrendous. So again, guys, it's time to get serious. It's time to get educated, and it's time to take action. All the links you need are down below. Again, we don't really get into like certain businesses or what we're doing. We just come here to provide value and educate you guys and give you the resources that you need when you're ready to take action. But again, only you can decide when you exit the matrix. Only you can decide when you leave the rat race. Until your mind gets there, all we can do is lead you to the water. You got to drink it though. All right, Cole, brother, my man. Thank you so much for popping on tonight. Man, just keep growing, keep building, and just appreciate you and give Haley some love. I love that you got to meet her family for the first time in the last few weeks here, and your whole Australia team is just crushing it. I love how you guys get into that spiritual realm and the mindset. That's what really matters. And you know, we're just going to keep fighting back against the system because we know we're going to win.
Yeah, totally. We'll keep holding it down for sure.
All right. Lace up.
Let's get wealthy.
On my cash stack, high yields on stable coins. Yeah, that's where my bag at. All I really need is Wi-Fi. Get money on DeFi. Mega cash on MetaMask. You better run when the runners run. Show you how to get your money up. Dollar inflated like bubble gum. Markets are jumping like double Dutch. Buying up gold till I get a ton. Crypto, yeah, I got some. You better run when